A couple weeks ago, I had the urge to paint big. Bigger than I've ever painted before. Normally, I paint on these, and the biggest painting I've done is this. I generally tend to paint small even while practicing, so I wanted to challenge myself to paint something bigger than I've tried before. So I cracked open my as of yet unused A4 watercolor block, picked a reference photo, and got painting. This painting took me like 3 days to finish. I have over 8 hours of footage, and I don't like it. Now, to be fair to myself, this is the first time that I've tried painting something this large, and also a nighttime scene, which I've never attempted before. I also don't exactly know how to paint glowing lights, which I do think is an important element of this image.
And number 3, pick a simple subject and simplify it even more. If you pick a scenery with many different complex light sources, you are going to have an uphill battle because you are going to worry too much about preserving different lights. While you can use stuff like masking fluid or gouache to add some small light back, too many light sources can also be distracting.
Okay, so maybe I picked the wrong reference photo, but I do think I can make it work. I've done it once already and I know where I went wrong now. I can change my approach. First, I tried to mimic the photo too closely. I really tried to make the image photorealistic, and I'm sure you can do photorealism with watercolor, but that is not its strength. I think watercolor is best when you can use its flowy and loose quality to your advantage. I was trying to control every single brush stroke, and that just doesn't work well with watercolor. Second, I did not make any thumbnails. Big mistake. Thumbnails are tiny versions of your painting that you make before doing the actual painting. They are helpful for you to understand how to paint your piece before committing to something larger. You can do multiple different versions and see what appeals to you, and this way you also have an idea of what your final piece should look like. And finally, stepping back. Literally. I forget about this step a lot, but taking physical steps back away from your piece will give you a fresh perspective on how you're progressing. Whether you're painting something big or something small, taking a few steps back will help you evaluate your painting and also just get the larger picture. Painting this was sometimes really overwhelming, but I do think that's just because I wasn't prepared. This time, we're going in with a plan. First, I'm going to avoid realism. I want to try and push the perspective a little bit so that the image is a lot more visually interesting, and also I want to try and paint a lot looser with watercolors. Second, I also made a thumbnail this time of what I want my finished piece to approximately look like. I can use this as a reference to keep me on track. And now that I have all that, let's get painting. Okay, I think I'm basically done with the painting. I'm not 100% sure, but I think I'll leave it here for today. Come back to it tomorrow, take another look, and then see if any other last changes need to be done. But I think I'm done. It is the next day, and I've had some time away from the piece to really take it in and think about it. Overall, I really like how this is turning out. I think already it looks a lot better than the piece I painted before. It's a lot more vibrant, and I really like how the roofs and the lanterns have turned out. But there is one thing that I do want to work on today that I think will only improve the painting, and that is contrast. I think I'm a little scared to push the contrast because I don't want it to get as dark as my previous painting, but I do think this will benefit from a little more contrast because right now all of the values bleed into each other a little bit. I also think the reflections in the previous piece look a lot better, so I might go in with a little bit of gouache to make it a little bit nicer. Ta-da! Here's the finished piece. What do you think? I'm finding it a little bit difficult to say objectively which one is better. I think both of them have their own strengths and weaknesses, and I wish I was able to combine just the strengths all together in one painting. This painting, I do think it looks pretty good compared to this one. In general, I really like all of the colors of this piece. It's a lot more vibrant all over, and I really like this kind of warped perspective at the edges. I don't know if it works 100%, but I had a lot of fun just trying to figure out that kind of perspective. I also think having a border around the piece looks a lot nicer than not having a border. That is one thing that I do dislike about the other piece, is that it's just edge to edge, and I much prefer having a border. It looks a lot cleaner and the image somehow is more in focus. But I will say I really like the sharp contrast in this piece. That was one of my pain points when I was reviewing this earlier, and I do think it is a bit too dark. But when you compare it to this piece, this one has very little contrast in comparison, and I think I could have pushed the contrast further, but I am too afraid of making it this contrasting. I think there is a sweet middle ground, and I'm not sure if I can hit that accurately. The contrast allows the roofs here to stand out a bit more than in the other piece. Because it's not so dark, you don't see the light as brightly. This piece is also a lot more detailed, which when I look at it, I appreciate a lot more. I simplified this other piece significantly compared to this one, and I think it loses some of the charm because of it. I don't know. Maybe I'm not ready to paint large-scale pieces, or maybe I should have just picked a better reference photo. Who knows? Let me know which one you prefer, and if you have any tips on how to get better, please leave them in the comments. I highly appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end and for liking and subscribing. I think for the next video, I'm just gonna take it easy and do something really chill. I'll see you then. Bye!